Hey you guys, so today I have a special guest with me. This is my old teacher Trey.
I'm old. Okay.
Not old like that. So a lot of you guys have been asking me for videos on special effects and stuff like that. I don't do special effects anymore. I haven't in a while, so I felt a little bit uncomfortable trying to show you guys how to do it when I don't know how to properly apply it. I don't know how to properly remove it anymore. It's all out of my mind, so that's where Trey comes in.
My name's Tracy Lai. I work in film and I do everything from beauty makeup to special effects makeup. But I see I'm doing it again.
Primarily do special effects.
I specialize in effects.
So anyways, yeah, let's jump into this.
Oh God. So what I'm going to do is just clean the skin. You should always clean the skin to ensure that whatever you're adhering on the skin lasts all day.
There you go.
Yeah, if you do not clean the skin, whether the model or actor has makeup on or not, you just want to get rid of any kind of dirt or oil that could possibly be on the skin.
I like those Q-tips.
Thank you, me too. I have pink ones as well here, and I use them for...
Girly girls or?
Yeah. Well, whenever, I should take out one pink ones for you. No, but when I do work on weddings,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'll whip those out.
Make them feel extra special.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, I got a bride. Okay, I'll take out the pink Q-tips.
Yeah. So clean the skin. I'm just using Ben Nye's Hydro Cleanse right now, but you can use any kind of like witch hazel, any kind of toner, or even a little bit of 70% alcohol if you want to.
Era wants all of Tracy's attention right now.
And I want all of hers. I poured myself a little bit of spirit gum here. I'm going to tap a little bit of spirit gum. Apply the spirit gum where you plan on putting your wax. I'm going to be working with wax today. You can really you can build broken noses with anything. You don't have to just work with wax. So what I'm doing here is I'm just tapping the spirit gum. You can tap with your fingers as well. Just want to make it tacky and just kind of thin it out a little bit. You don't want it too globby. I'm going to take a little bit of mortician's wax. Wait, did we already say we're doing broken noses today? Did we say that?
We're doing broken noses today.
I forgot. Alright, really, you can do whatever you want. What I'm doing here is I'm just quickly mushing out the wax into the shape that I want. I'm focusing more on to her left side right now. But really, you can put it dead center of the bridge, or you can put a little bit on either side. It's really up to you, however you want to change the shape. If you don't want to break someone's nose and you just want to widen it, let's say, you can do the same effect, or if you wanted to elongate the tip of your nose, you can always add a little bit of wax to the tip as well. Use a bit of spirit gum.
I have not done special effects in so long. I try. I remember, like, I guess it was probably like 2 years after I graduated. I was like, I'm going to do like an out of kit, you know? I'm going to do an out of kit cut or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, I don't know.
I think you can. Well, you can blend and stuff. So I feel like you'd be able to, you know.
That's what she says, but I got the worst marks in her class.
You did?
Yes!
You remember? Really?
I did.
You're not supposed to compare with other students. Did you get the worst?
No, not with to other students. I'm saying I got the worst for myself.
Oh, that's okay. Everybody
does in my class.
I'm blending the edges. What I did was I took like a jelly bean shaped wax, or kind of jelly bean size, like a Jelly Belly jelly bean, not like those dollar store jelly beans.
Yeah, not the
nice
weird,
and small. Yeah.
The good jelly bean.
A small jelly bean size, and I mushed it on, and I just kind of roughly got the shape with my fingers. And now what I'm doing is I'm just fine tuning it with my spatula. Now, if you feel more comfortable using your fingers, that's fine as well. You can also use a Q-tip if that helps you. Now, because a Q-tip is fuzzy, you might want to put a bit of 99% alcohol. That will help you blend sometimes as well. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and do part of it. I'm not going to miss too much because I don't want it to be
too wet.
Yeah, too wet or too fumy near your eyes. So this is a good thing. Actually, close your eyes for a second. The Q-tip is nice to use in these curved areas, or if you just have one of those really curved spatulas.
I could not do that with my nails, I just realized. I'd be like...
Actually, Oh yeah, no.
You're so gentle and tender.
Yeah, I am. Now, this is an important thing. We will ignore that for today, but normally when we're working on someone's face, we want to make sure that the model stays still and doesn't talk and laugh. However, we can do it today, or else it'd probably be a very boring video. But normally, if somebody does, you can't even do that.
Oh yeah, they scrunch.
Yeah, if you scrunch the face, there are, look forward for a second, you'll see certain areas. Just smile for a second. Yeah, you can do a little bit more. Yeah, sometimes it ends up wrinkling here. And do this really quickly. Yeah, it even wrinkles there. And sometimes even lines going up that way. Now, before you're done blending, or after you're done blending, before you're done sealing, it may actually, those wrinkles may appear again. And now that we just kind of did that as a quick little demo, these bumps appeared. So you just have to go back in and blend. Don't be sorry. No, it's good. I wanted to show people that just in case, because sometimes people...
It's a learning experience for all.
I'm just tapping it into place. Is there any way I can see what it looks like in the... Oh, whoa! Sorry, edit that one out. Sorry, I'm going to look from here. Okay, so right now it's tripping me out because I have this awesome Mortician's wax, but it just tends to be a little bit more orange. So like looking at it right now is kind of throwing me off because a lot of waxes are much lighter now. All right, if it's ever, a little bit misshapen, you can give it a couple of taps to soften certain edges if you see edges that are there that you don't want to be there. Now, if you find that your wax is a little sticky, you can always use a little bit of water to help you. You can put it on your finger or again your Q-tip or your spatula to kind of stop it from sticking back onto you. Another trick is if you use a little bit of KY, just a little bit though, the tiniest bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little bit of lube. Just very little though. Very little because I find that when this dries, it'll leave a film. So now what I'm going to do is to texture this, I am going to use a red stipple sponge. They usually come in rounds, but I will rip off or cut off a little piece to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stipple the sponge on top to press some skin texture onto it. However, I'm going to wet it with a little bit of water on here. You can spritz a little bit of water on top just to prevent it from sticking onto the sponge. No matter how smooth someone's skin is, you want to stipple skin texture onto it because it could possibly, in certain angles, reflect so much light and it'll be blinding, and no matter how good your painting is, somebody may be able to tell where you've added something like wax or prosthetic piece.
Because it would be smooth in one place and then all of a sudden like your skin texture in the other place.
Exactly. Even if it's as smooth as a baby's bum, you'd still want to put some sort of texture. What I like to do is stipple. I'm going to seal with latex now. What I do is I take a sponge and I just kind of cut up my wedges. And with pretty much all of my wedges, I'll texture it. I don't know if where do I hold this for?
If you hold it back here kind of thing, like where my face is.
So I textured it. What I did was I took little chunks and it looks kind of checkered. It's just, oh, that's you can see with the black background. It's stippled. Or it'll help you get a little stippling effect. And this is really good for stippling latex or painting. When I paint bruises, let's say, I'll always texture my sponges so that you get a nice stippling effect. That way you can layer and create depth. So
and it's just not like one
like a big block.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see corners of color. So, same idea for layering latex. Now, because it's such a small area that I'm working on, I'm going to use a smaller sponge. So I'm just going to split this in half. So close your eyes. And this might smell like cat pee.
It happens.
Mm-hmm. So with latex, because it's got ammonia in it, it ends up pretty stinky. And I always get my models to close their eyes so that the fumes don't bother them. And you want to work in very light layers. If you notice, I'm just stippling a very, very thin layer. Before it dries, you can see why I stipple my sponge as well. You can see it kind of blending off so you don't create a harsh edge with your latex. So that's one thin layer. You want to blow dry this.
This feels great.
Does it? Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but I remember like I was modeling for a different class before I'd had you as a teacher, and I had seen you like walking around, and I was always like, oh my god, that girl looks so scary, like I'm so scared to have this.
What?
Yeah.
Scary?
What? You have your hair in this thing, and like you have freaking tattoos, and like you're just like walking around, and you're like,
oh my god.
So scared. But and then anyways, and everyone was like, oh, she's so hard, like she's such a hard teacher or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so scared. And then I was modeling for a different class that was ahead of my class, and like it was the day where like we went out on location into a park, and
did you use a bald cap too then?
yeah.
Oh my god, you're so nice. That's so nice of you.
So this girl was like doing the makeup on me on location on the park or whatever, which is like one of the like our class things. And you came around and I was like, oh, so like what do you guys do if it's raining? And you were like, do you think film sets shut down when it's raining? And I was like,
oh no, I'm sorry.
I was like, no, I was so scared of you. And then I was like, no, and then I was like,
oh
what? And then the day that our class did that, it was pouring. It was like pouring rain, and it was so funny. And you were dressed in shorts.
Was I?
Yeah.
I wore shorts to school. I can't believe. Oh my god. Okay. Now, what I'm doing is definitely another layer. Thin layers. Alright, if you apply very thin layers, you don't have to blow dry for very long. Sometimes it's so thin by the time you get your blow dry in your hand, it's dried already. So once it's dry, you always want to powder latex. A lot of times people will stipple latex very thickly. Now, if you don't texture your sponge, I find that you're more inclined to do that as well. Don't pick up as much product. When you stipple, when you pick up latex with your sponge, just dab a little bit of the excess off on your palette first before you apply it to whatever you're applying it to. I'm just going to dust it with a little bit of colorless powder. If you guys have any tinted powder, if it's translucent, you can do that as well. You're basically trying to prevent the latex from sticking to itself. And another important thing is that I latex a little further than my blended area of the wax. So you want to, go over the wax past the edge just a little bit, so it doesn't pop away from the skin. Okay, so now I think we're good with the wax application. We can go right into painting. Now, when you start to paint, you can choose. I like to layer more than one color for depth. If you add more color, then you'll get, you can achieve realism better that way. So what I'm using here is rubber matte grease paints. Whenever I'm painting anything that is latex or foam latex, as long as it's a latex surface, I'd like to seal it with rubber matte grease paint first, or PAX paint, because if you use any other paint, it tends to bead or sometimes it changes color. So I'm gonna go in with the rubber matte grease paint. Plus I love using rubber matte grease paints anyway. I love the colors. Do they need to see this? I don't know. It was really blurry, I guess.
I appreciate the effort though.
Hey, what?
I need to see this. all this blurry in front of the camera.
Sorry, this is why I don't do this. So I'm gonna stipple a medium color. The color I chose is close to like a foundation color, and if it's not the perfect color, don't worry, because you're gonna layer many more over it anyway. So if it's too light or if it's too dark, it's okay. Now this color is a little light, like I said, which is fine. I'm gonna now pick one that's a little bit more of a tan color. Is this a new palette? Or is this from school that you just haven't used?
It's from school and I haven't used it.
Really?
Yeah.
Ideally, you would... Oh yeah, I used to stipple a textured sponge as well. Ideally, when you move on to your next color, you use a fresh one. Because if you keep using the same one, especially when you start using your bruising colors like blue and red, you might just end up with like a big muddy brown. I did my second color. It was a little bit of a darker color, but still, I can add a little bit more of a dark color. Just deciding which one. Now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use this. And I'm going to... Oh, mother... Shit. Okay. It's really stuck in there. I'm going to use this color. A lot of times people would be scared to use really dark browns if you're working on, lighter skin. Don't be scared, because every time I'm painting, I always use lighter colors. I mean, I thin it out anyway. And I feel like that's the trick to kind of achieving a little bit more of a skin-like look. I'm just spreading it on my palette so it's kind of flattened, not globby as well, so I don't pick up any globs. I'm going to use a textured sponge, dab out the excess, and I'm going to stipple over the same area again. Except the second layer and this third layer, I'm just kind of lacing it. I'm not going to completely cover the whole thing as I did with the base. So I'm just going to lightly stipple.
You always have a soft and gentle touch.
Sometimes clients fall asleep in my chair.
I have people fall asleep when I do their eyelash extensions. Kind of their makeup too, but I've had so many people do it. Well, in school it was really bad because like people would like be like, oh, brush, and it's like, oh my god, it's the worst feeling.
Yeah, being in school is the worst sometimes. I've had like someone who was so angry at her own 1920s makeup because she just couldn't get it right, and she had to remove it off my eye more than once, and she would rub so hard and it got so sore. And then when she had to reapply, she was so pissed off. She spoolied my eyeball. Ouch. And I was like, oh, but
one time a girl in my class she was trying to spray water on a Q-tip and she sprayed it with 99% alcohol and put it in my eye. And then my eye was watering and watering and watering and watering. And then, that was in your class.
Really?
Yeah, and then she was like, okay, don't say anything because like Tracy's right there. And my eye was like, watering so much.
No, I knew. Didn't I come around?
I knew. Yeah, well, because you came around and you're like, are you okay? And I was like, oh, my eye's just watering or whatever. And
I remember. So you just want to choose a red. This one. Like a blood red. And stipple very lightly. If you don't do that, a lot of times people skip this step. But if you don't do that, I feel like there's a little bit of it that looks a little dead. So you wanna stipple a bit of life back into it. So I'm going to take another sponge, and it's a good idea to take a clean sponge. This is the part where I was saying, it kind of ends up being boring for some people, but I feel like this is what's important for people to learn, to not just smush purple all over their wound, because, it could be effective for some projects or some photos, but, if you're ever working on a film set, you have to decide what's realistic. Think about the hardest you've ever been hit somewhere. Does it turn purple right away? Let me see what that looks like. It looks good from where I'm standing, but every time I stand back here a little bit, okay, that's pretty good. Cool. I'm sorry. I noticed when it kind of stood back a little bit. I do this often. I'll stand back and see what it looks like because it looks different. I want to check it from another angle, but I'm just going to go back and stipple the darker foundation color that I used. Just kind of sprinkle a little bit of the light freckling across. And I think it's nice to check out your, model skin. You want to match it. Like if somebody had freckles across and you did this flawless paint job, but it's missing freckles, then, might be a sign that it's a prosthetic piece or something. Oops. Was my head just completely in the way? Oh well, you'll edit that.
Yeah, I'll magically edit your head.
You know what? Now I will add more red. Okay. So this is an option to keep it like this, and this is another one just to kind of, if you want to add a little bit of soreness to it, then you can go ahead. All right, so I added a little bit of red, so maybe what we'll do is we can open it up a little bit. I just got to figure out how I want to do this. So this is what I mean by wax being easily dented. So you probably want to protect it more with the sealer. Now if you ever want to seal and you don't have latex, you can always use a flexible sealer by any other brand, or even a liquid Band-Aid works. Or you can stipple with Prozade, which is another glue. It's a medical grade adhesive. So
that's a good alternative if you're allergic to latex.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can go ahead and break it open. Now if you've already sealed it, if it's not with latex, you should be able to cut into it pretty easily. Just for demo purposes, I sealed with latex first before I cut it open. Now sealing with latex first kind of prevents me from cutting through completely, but it's still denting, so it's fine. So I'm taking a little bit of this red here. the same red that's just on my palette. It was either Fresh Blood or Fresh
Cut was that one.
Oh, you're good. You know what? As you're talking, I was staring at it. I'm like, let's gouge this a little bit more. Why not? May as well.
All right.
So I'm using a little bit of Skin Illustrator here. Just digging it open a little bit more.
This is one thing that I wanted to note because it's something that I see a lot with makeup artists and stuff. And you guys are always asking about, you know, doing makeup on clients and stuff like that. Notice her hand and my face. A lot of makeup artists that I see, like, they'll have their hand kind of just like rested fully on your face.
Oh my god!
Or on your head or whatever.
Like this. Hold on.
Yeah, like they'll like rest their hand on your forehead or like have your hand like resting on your face.
Oh.
You want to not.
That's a good point. I'm glad I wasn't doing that.
Because I normally anchor with like my pinky.
Yeah.
And that's the
yes,
most.
if I need to. Yeah, pinky helps. Like if I do something like that, that helps as well. But like, you know.
But never your full hand, because then you're also wrecking your work. It's like if you spend your time doing this nice base and then you're putting your hand and like smearing it all over constantly. It's like.
Yeah, I agree. You're ruining it. Okay, so I'm actually playing around with some of the latex in there. I'm kind of picking it a little bit. I know at this point you might not be able to see much, but you know, from where I'm standing, you know, I can see the layers and the texture in there. If you guys want to, you know, play around, add texture. I'm ready for blood. Should we do blood?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. This one is a little bit of a darker blood.
What kind of blood are you using?
Oh shoot, I was hoping you wouldn't ask. I have so many that I brought out right here, and I don't know what this one is specifically. It's a Dudman blood. I use Dudman blood a lot of the times. It is, I don't know if people use it. This is guaranteed stain free. I know a lot of bloods end up staining. Oh, here's a little trick. If you find that the blood beads, you can add a drop, try adding a drop of dish soap to it to see if it will stop the beading. Because it tends to get repelled when you're working on top of certain things, and it just kind of gathers a little bit. I thinned it out a little bit. I thinned out the blood. If you find that it's a little bit thick, I left it thick for the inside so I can kind of build it up a little bit. But if you want to thin out your blood, just add a little bit of water. I don't want it too thick. And what I like to do is tap away. Just tap some of the blood, and then I just kind of like to build and kind of play around with it a little bit so it doesn't look like just fake drips. You know, it's all about detail, and I feel like I always try to get people to focus on that instead of trying to get like the big and gory, because anybody can do that. Try and focus on like the details and the blending and color matching. For me personally, that's very important. But I come from, you know, the film world as well, so I guess, you know, it depends.
It's up to you.
Yeah. So now that I completed the first look, this is an option if you want to add more bruising, because I know people like bruises. I'm just going to quickly throw in some extra color here. I chose one that was a purple. That is a purple and a blue. And it's always, if you decide to add bruising, it's always nice to do it before you add blood, obviously. Because you're going to end up kind of stippling into the blood and dragging the blood into areas you didn't want it to be.
So blood is usually the last thing.
Yeah, anything kind of wet. Oh, are you okay if I ruin your nice eye makeup? Oh my god, sorry.
I didn't sign up for this. So that is everything, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something cool today. Let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments below, and I will get back to you. And another special thank you to Tracy for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Peace out.